All right, welcome everyone for the second of our virtual wine tasting series. And our guest this evening will be Jennifer Luttner from Country Heritage Winery and Vineyard in Indiana. First of all, is anyone here in Indiana? Is anyone familiar with Indiana wines? Oh, one person. And then Nick, we don't have a video for you. So if you want to participate and answer any of those questions, you can just put something in the chat and we'll grab it there. All
Nick
right.
is Nick and Tanya both work for me. Nick and Tanya Shannon both work for me.
Oh,
so that's
okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
Tanya's my tasting room manager, and Nick works here also. So
okay, perfect. Well, welcome, Jennifer. Thank you for everything. Let's start off with the first wine, and then we'll let you tell us about our backstory while we're trying that. And I know Lisa and Cheryl, I believe, have ordered and have received some of the wines. So
yes.
We're starting off with the Traminette. Am I saying that
Yes,
correctly?
you did. Correct. Yep.
Perfect. Okay, tell us a little bit about this, and then we'll jump back to your backstory.
So Traminette is Indiana's state grape and wine. So we market it as such. It is a cold hardy variety made in Illinois is where it first came out. It's a cousin or a relative to the Gewürztraminer. So you'll have a lot of similar characteristics if you're familiar with Gewürztraminer. And it can be florally and minerally, and it can also carry on a little bit of a tropical punch to it too. So it can be made a lot of ways. It can be made super sweet or dry or semi-dry right in the center. So it has a lot of versatility.
I do see the similarity with a Gewürztraminer.
Yeah, it's a little bit lighter, but yeah, there's a lot of similarities there.
Sweet. Okay, while we're enjoying this, tell us, first of all, tell us where you are.
So we are just north of Fort Wayne, Indiana. So I don't know if anybody's familiar with Fort Wayne, Indiana. We're about 12 miles north of Fort Wayne. There you go. And we're about 2 hours north of Indianapolis. So just right kind of halfway, 3/4 of the way in between Indianapolis and Michigan. And we are in a rural farming community. We both grew up in farming families. So it's kind of been in our blood for a lot of years. So.
Well, and what really interested me about your story is your winery is on family farmland.
Yes, so the ground that the winery sits on and most of the vineyard sits on has been in my husband's mom's side of the family for over 100 years. So there's a lot of heritage there. They, like I said, we were both raised in farm families, and his parents were raised in farm families. So there's a lot of that culture and that heritage here on this farm. So we have a little over 19 acres here, and we've expanded them such across the road, and we have a total of 72 acres.
And these are part of those 72 acres here behind.
Yeah, so of vineyards, 72 acres of vineyards. So, but all the farm ground around it, there's a lot of corn and beans around it. When you span out, we farm all that. We still farm corn and beans too.
So how did you make the transition from farming in general to farming winery specific?
So when we adopted my son as a newborn, I wanted to stay home, and we bought a U-pick blueberry farm. And so we did that for several years, and when our fruit would get soft, we'd sell to wineries and they'd make wine out of it, and it kind of became friends with them. And of course you have to have bees to pollinate the blueberries, and in Indiana bees don't do well in the winter, so we would load our bees on semis and ship them to California to pollinate almonds, and my husband would go out there and work with the bees and whatever, go to wineries and stuff, and he kind of got the bug, so it kind of rolled over. So we did a lot of produce farming, a lot of fruits. Like I said, we did blueberries, red raspberries, strawberries, a lot of sweet corn, and then of course our corn and bean farming. So we had the background in produce farming, and then we just kind of took that natural leap into the grapes.
And when did you make that leap to the grapes?
So we opened the winery April of 2011. So the grapes got planted that spring. We opened in 2011. So our first round of wine that we had was all grapes that we had purchased and produced the wine from grape to wine. So now, like I said, we're up to about 72 acres. We're in the top 3 largest vineyards in Indiana because there's not a lot of vineyards in Indiana. So they're just starting to take hold here. A lot of vineyards in southern Indiana, not so much in the north. But we raise a lot of Minnesota hybrids, so they're really cold hardy, which is what we have to have here in Indiana.
And are your wines all made with with grapes from your state?
Not all of our wines are grapes from our state. We do make several of all the grapes we raise and grow, we make into wine. But we also make Cabs and Merlots and Cab Francs and all that, and we get most of that off the West Coast, usually Washington. So,
yay, Washington.
yeah. So there's several vineyards out there that we do business with and that we're friends with, and we get grapes from there. We get the grapes shipped in, and then we make the wine from that.
And so what's your forte within the business?
So for me, I am a business background. So I do all the accounting, all the paperwork. I'm a paper shuffler. And then
I've done
a little bit of everything. I have done a little bit of everything. Growing up in a farm family, I drive the tractors. I can do it all. But right now, we have grown enough that I spend a lot of my time in the office, and then I work with my staff and my tasting room staff and manage a lot of that. So.
Now your background is your property and your event area at your wineries. So
Yes.
Tell us a little about what you have there and what there might be fun to do at some other time.
Yeah, so once we can get out and about and have some concerts and stuff, we do every Friday and Saturday night, we do concerts in the summer from usually like Memorial Weekend on. We do outdoor concerts. So we have an amphitheater. I think we have about 500 seats in our amphitheater. Then we allow people to bring blankets and chairs and stuff. I mean, I know we've had upwards of 1,000 people here before for concerts. Wow. So we do big concerts on Friday and Saturday. We bring out food trucks. We have a brick fire pizza oven. We cook pizzas and pastas in for you. And then, of course, great award-winning wine. So, and there's a big pond in the background, and you can sit out there and enjoy the concert, enjoy the weather, and beautiful, beautiful sunsets.
Yeah, it's just starting to make the sunset there in the photos. So that's beautiful. So I know Cheryl and Lisa are trying the wine. What do you think? Any questions or?
It's delicious, very light, very refreshing. Yeah, when I first smelled it, it sort of reminded me of the New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc almost. It's a very citrusy kind of smell. And that immediately attracted me to it. When I first smelled it, I thought this is going to be really nice. And it is delicious.
Yeah, it's very crisp and it's great for on a hot summer day. It can take on that real citrusy smell that the New Zealand Sauv Blancs take on. It kind of depends on where it grows. It can get more floral, more minerally, but ours tends to stay right in that citrusy area. So.
It's a tad sweeter than I typically like my whites. I'm not a big white drinker, but I do get some tropical notes. Sort of, I look at Melody's screensaver and think, yeah, this wine kind of goes with that palm tree.
Might be good floating in your pool or on the beach, right?
Mm-hmm. Tony, what do you think?
You're talking to me?
Yes. Did you want to say anything about it? He looks frozen. I mean, oh, well.
Cody froze.
Yeah.
I'm not totally frozen. Thank you very much. No, it just goes in and out. Actually, I really like that wine. It tastes really good. It'd be something I would sip on the deck here at night during the summertime.
Yeah, it's kind of
It's a good summery wine.
It's a tropical deck overlooking the ocean and the palm tree of Melody in the
Yeah,
background.
Melodies.
At sunset.
It was 91 today.
So who,
Hot one.
Jennifer, who entertains at your concerts?
It depends. We have several bands we hire to come out. So we have a lot of local artists and local bands. We have had some from like Indianapolis, Chicago area, but a lot of them are semi-local, Ohio, Fort Wayne area bands that have a following in this area. So we do all different kinds of music. So we do everything from country to classic rock to oldies. We even have one that does a lot of jazzy type music. And and then in the winter, when it's cold out, we have acoustic acts inside. So
I have a question.
go ahead.
I see that you're in with the Indiana Alliance, Food Alliance. So you work with Lindsay, and I love her and love to support all her locations and everything. Do you partner with Fort Wayne for the Riverwalk? Like, do you bring wine, or are you allowed to like bring wine there for certain events, outdoor events?
We do some outdoor events in Fort Wayne. I don't think we have ever done the Riverwalk. We do the Michiana Wine Festival. We do a lot of tastings at the Tin Caps. We've done several fundraisers. We do lots and lots of fundraisers in Fort Wayne for different charities. And we did several at the Art Museum. So we do some offsite events. It just kind of depends on when they fall and if we have the staff to do them and what our permitting allows. So.
Okay. Do you want to tell us briefly like about the wine trail in Indiana? Because I love all those trails. It's one of my favorites.
Yeah. So in northern Indiana, we don't sit on an actual wine trail. We're kind of spread apart in northern Indiana, the wineries are. So, but in the area we are in, right around Fort Wayne, there are several. So there's Two E's Winery, there's us, there's Byler Lane Winery, Sadik Wineries up towards kind of the north type, towards the toll road, towards Pokagon, towards almost to Michigan. Brielle Wineries up there. So there's several that you can travel through. Muncie, Indiana has a winery. So it's probably like, if you wanted to go to those ones, it's probably a 2-day, 3-day thing you could spend doing it. There's a little bit of space in between some of us. So.
You guys also have a podcast, so I'll give you a little chance to plug that.
Yeah, so we do a podcast on Saturday mornings on it's 1190 here. I don't know. You can log on to our Facebook, or we link all of them to our Facebook, and they link them through their page. And it's all about wine, kind of like the same thing we're doing here. We talk about wines or events going on or things happening or gift giving or whatever the season may be. So yeah, we have a lot of fun. We do it with Mike Rags, who our DJ is, and it varies who's there and what season. So sometimes my husband's with me and we talk about the growing of the grapes, and sometimes the winemaker's with me and we talk about the making of the wine, or my tasting room manager's there and we talk about events. So it just kind of depends on who's with me on the podcast, what we talk about.
Well, I did see that it's available on all the basic podcast player and platforms, and it's called the Adult Beverage Show.
Yep.
So if you're a podcast listener, which I am, you can kind of take a look for it in your player. Yeah,
we have a lot of fun on that. And like I said, we bring different people all the time, so you get to see all different aspects of the winery. It's kind of what we try to portray. We're very much into the locally grown, locally made. And and I try to get my staff very involved. The more involved they are, the more they learn, and the more dedicated they are to the business.
So when wine owners and winemakers travel, do they visit other wineries?
Oh, for sure. For sure. Every time we travel, we go to all kinds of wineries all over. I was telling you, I think earlier, that we travel to Washington almost every year. We have growers out there, so we go to their vineyards and their wineries. And but yeah, we everywhere we go to wineries, and the winemaker also does, and we always bring back each other wines to try, or hey, try this, we like this. We've worked together long enough, we kind of know what each other likes, so we pick out wines that we know that each other will like, and we bring them back. And as a winery, we try them, and even at our Christmas party at the end of the year, we always everybody brings a wine from somewhere else, not here, so we can try all different kinds of wines. But yeah, that's definitely a passion of ours, and yeah, we definitely try them all over.
Well, and I
Okay,
know,
that's like fun.
I know
That sounds
for
like
me,
fun to have a wine from different places.
I couldn't
and I
hear
know
you.
for, yeah, he said that it sounds like fun to have everyone bring a wine from a different place.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. You get to try a lot of different things.
Well, and I know when we travel, I mean, we do, you know, we like visiting wineries and if not the wineries, you know, trying something new, trying something local. I can't imagine going to another part of the country and just buying a Washington wine when there's so many other things that we could choose. And with the faces who that we have here joining us, I have had wine with all of you. So it's been fun as we each discover it. Well, before we go further with our conversation, shall we pour the red, which is a Marquette? Is it Marquette? Is that how you say it?
Yep, perfect.
Again, another wine and grape that I have no familiarity with and honestly hadn't heard about. So why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
So the Marquette is also an estate-grown wine that we grow on our property here. It is also a versatile grape, but we have made it into a rosé, we've made it into a bigger red, and we've made it into a medium body red, which is what this one is here today. It takes on has a fruity forefront and then usually a spicy finish on it. It is a great versatile wine. It's actually right now one of my favorite estate-grown wines that we grow. It grows really well in this area. It's a Minnesota hybrid. It's another one from Minnesota that can handle our cold winters, which is most of our grapes, just because we don't have real great winters here in Indiana. So they have to be they have to be hardy.
Oh, I do get the spicy finish.
Yeah, it has a little bit of a spicy finish.
Mm-hmm.
It goes great with grilled and smoked meats. It is so versatile.
Ooh, that's
Ooh,
good.
This is really nice. I'm a red wine fan, I would say.
Me too.
Those just are good for me on my palate. So let's see, we've got a couple other people tasting there. What do you guys think?
It's very nice. I like a spicy red. And so again, when you smell, you can tell that that's what you're going to get when you drink it. And it's very nice. Yeah.
A little bit of tobacco flavors.
Yeah, it's not too, I'm not sure even the right word. It's not too heavy.
Yeah.
It's like the perfect spiciness and not heavy combination. Obviously, I'm not a wine connoisseur because I'm using all the wrong words, but.
Right.
Perfect.
I almost get a finish of like allspice or something, which sort of cuts the sweetness of the jamminess, making a real nice smooth finish.
Yeah. Kind of get the best of both worlds. A little bit of fruitiness with that spice finish, so it's not too fruity, but yet not too overpowering. So yeah, it's a nice one.
Yeah, and I am partial to the reds. What do you think, Lisa?
It as well.
I didn't hear you there, sorry.
She said she gets a little bit of a mineral taste. Yeah, I'm not sure why she's not muted, but she gets a little bit of a mineral taste in it.
It's good.
Let me try that again.
I'm enjoying it.
So are there a lot of wineries in Indiana?
There is 116 wineries in Indiana right now and tasting rooms.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
When we opened up, I think they were in the 60s, like 63, and there's 116 now. So it's kind of taken off in this area. When we first opened up, I'd say a good 90% of our business was sweet wines because it just wasn't real prevalent in this area yet. And as the year goes, we're getting more and more semi-dry to dry drinkers. I mean, don't get me wrong, in Indiana, sweet wines are still our #1 sellers.
Really?
Oh, for sure.
You mean like your berry? I saw you also have berry and cranberry, and those are.
Yeah, there are a number. Our Concord, our Sweet Concord, it's a big seller. So But in this area, they drink a lot of soda pop, energy drinks, that type of thing. So it kind of goes along with it. But yes, they are definitely, our sweet wines are definitely number one sellers. And that's what we like to tell everybody about our winery, is everybody can be comfortable here. A really experienced wine connoisseur can be comfortable, or someone that's just starting out drinking wines. We always say, there's no right or wrong answers. Drink what you like. If you like sweet wines, drink it. If you like dry wines, drink it. If you like red, drink it. If you like white, drink it. We make it all. So, we got something for everybody.
So what are your tips for someone visiting a winery or tasting room?
Tips for them if they're coming in and they've never been to that tasting room before. Don't feel intimidated. Come on in. Try something out of your norm, just because when you're doing a tasting, it's a perfect opportunity to try something out of your norm. And then you can always fall back to your steadfast ones that you like or love.
It is so easy just to stick with the favorites and forget to try something new.
Yeah, always. When in Rome, if they have a wine that's their specialty, try it, just definitely, but just enjoy yourself and don't feel like you have to go, some people feel like you have to drink dry wines or you're not a wine drinker. Well, drink what you like and what you enjoy and have fun, because that's what wine's about, is having fun. So.
And that's what I like about going places where I just feel like I'm part of a family in the tasting experience, rather than I'm feeling intimidated because I don't have some level of expertise or something. Wine should be fun.
It should be fun, and that's kind of our philosophy here at our winery. And most of my staff started out with little experience in the wine world. There's some that had a little bit more, but a lot of my servers, they started out with very little experience, and so they know where you've been. So it makes it really nice when you come into our tasting room, because they can help you. It doesn't matter if you're expert or if you're just starting out. We've got somebody for everyone here. Our winemaker's got obviously more experience than a lot of us do, and we're an alley. So if you have someone that's a little more experienced, they can call him up, or so there's somebody for everybody here.
Now, does your husband work with is he a winemaker also?
He is, but my husband's passion's the growing. So he's a farmer at heart, and his passion's the growing. So he does a lot of the growing. He does all the spraying and the fertilizing and the planting, and he's running the harvester. I think that's in your picture. Yeah, he's in the harvester there.
There he is.
So his biggest passion is growing, but he does assist with all the winemaking. And like I said, we still farm about 3,000 acres of corn and beans outside of the winery, so he does all that too. So yeah.
Wow.
Multifaceted. And honestly, everybody here jumps in and helps anywhere they can. My staff, especially with the COVID, in order to keep my staff employed, they pruned this year out in the vineyards. They did all kinds of things they've never done before, just because that way we can keep them employed and keep money coming into them. And so, we can all jump in and help. We, like I said, I drive tractor, I drive semi, I run forklifts, Well, we can all do it all. So.
I think that we forget, because as a consumer, we just, we get to sit back and we watch the pretty sunset and drink the wine and do all those things. We forget that this is where it starts. It starts in the dirt.
And that's what my husband loves to see, and me too, and my staff, is to see it go from the grape you planted into the ground all the way into the glass, and see everything in the middle. And that's just the coolest thing ever to see as a farmer, and that history and the heritage. And it's a different type of farming than what our families did. So it's kind of a new tradition on old ground. So it's kind of neat.
So do you think you'll be passing that on to your family now?
I hope so. But we'll see. We'll see. You never know with your kids what they're going to get into. So
how old are they?
Mine just turned 18, so he's still trying to figure everything out and figure out what he wants to do and whatever. And it's kind of been a weird year this year, so we'll see where it goes. But hopefully someday. My nephew's kind of been into it a little bit too, so we'll see.
Well, and since you mentioned weird year, we've got to address the elephant in the room. You guys aren't open.
We aren't. We are not. We're carry out only. In our main facility here, we've done okay. Like I said, we've kept our staff busy pruning and doing other things and learning about winemaking and all kinds of things. And so it's been a great experience. They'll have lots of stories to tell when we do open back up. They've had a lot of fun and bonding and things like that. So it's been great. But yeah, no, we're just carry out right now. So, and we really don't have a steadfast date of when we get to open up. So we'll wait and see what they tell us and go
Nope.
from there. So
What are you doing with your events? Are you canceling them a couple weeks out? Is the whole summer a write-off?
we have only canceled through May because we're kind of waiting to see what happens in June. We're hoping, fingers crossed, that we can kind of start up a little bit like the 14th of June. But we're betting person that music and events and concerts will be July 4th at least before we get those back up. But I'm hoping we at least get the event space opened up, let them come out and sit and enjoy at least, even if the music is not playing, and enjoy the scenery and enjoy the vineyard and social distanced. Of course, we went out and spread all of our tables out and set it all up so we're ready to go whenever they allow us to open back up. So.
Well, and at least if it's July 4th, you can salvage part of the
Summer
season. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're shipping. We do all kinds of, we do shipping. We have half price off shipping. And for anybody that came to this, we're doing free shipping for one order for 4 bottles. So that's there. So we can ship. Washington is one of the states we can ship to. We can ship to, I think, 38 states. So we're doing that, and you can just go on our website and order. And we do a lot of wholesale. So that's kind of saved us. We were set up pretty good here to help keep us going.
So if we were at a restaurant in Indiana, would we see you guys on the menu?
I would hope so, but in Indiana, we're fighting to get our stuff on the list. So there are some that have us on there. We are in a lot of stores, a lot of liquor stores as far as wholesale. We do have some restaurants, more local restaurants than we do bigger restaurants. Bigger restaurants don't tend to carry the local stuff as much
Do you have
because of
any
the price points and stuff.
Are you in any restaurants in Fort Wayne?
We are. I would have to get a list. I believe we're in Black Canyon. I'd have to get a list from our wholesaler because we have to sell through a wholesaler. So
I have a restaurant guide for like 8 restaurants, and if you're in any of those, I'm glad to mention you and give you a shout out and a link back.
okay, yeah. If you can email me, so I have your contact information at winery@countryheritagewinery.com, I'll get a hold of my wholesaler and he'll tell me exactly where we're at. So
Okay.
I can pass on her email to Melody.
oh,
So.
perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. I'd love
And
to.
the promo code for the shipping offer will be in the email that I sent out at the end of this event. So you'll have the promo code, and that way anyone watching this later won't. So does anyone have any questions for Jennifer? Anything about wine or Indiana in general?
Cheers. It's
That's
a
not
very
quite a
good,
question, Tony.
Jennifer, that's a really nice red wine.
Yeah.
We're red wine drinkers, and
It
that's
is one of my
really,
favorites.
really good.
That's really nice.
And Melody, you really at the beach at your background.
She's in Florida, but I think that is a virtual background. So who has actually, I mean, I know Melody has, but have either of you guys been to Indiana?
Have you ever been in here? No.
No, me either.
I
had-
go to the Indiana marketplace. Like I write a lot about Indiana.
And
Yeah.
when you said there were so many wineries, that was a complete surprise to me. I had no idea. I mean, I know that there's wine in every state. I mean, I know that, but that's a good wine industry there.
Yeah, it's growing leaps and bounds, and they're learning as they go. And we're kind of proud of our little wine industry. And like I said, the growing is just starting to take up here in Indiana. And we've got some great wineries. We really do. We've got some really great ones. And so, I mean, I know a lot of people don't think destination place Indiana, but there is some really neat things to see. Some really beautiful state parks in Indiana. Just some great places, nice lakes. So,
Well, I had hoped to make a trip there this year, and that didn't happen. So
Yeah.
maybe 2021 will be a good year for
Put it on your bucket list.
a good year for Indiana.
Yeah.
Let me take another sip of this.
While we're talking about
Oh, just no. What's so crazy is
keep
he's,
your business going. And
uh, we're in the same household.
I'm in the next room.
He's in the next room. I just muted him. He's in the next room. We've got the same Wi-Fi here. I don't understand, but I don't understand why it's not working. And Lisa and Cheryl, are you guys are in the same room?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not that we're too close. I mean, at first I thought maybe it was just because we're too close and we're getting
No, she's
feedback or
literally right
something.
here.
Yeah, we're right next to each other.
We can't keep our speakers on the same because you'll hear us both.
Right.
But
Right. Well, and that's why we went to the noise canceling headphones and everything. So, so I'm a wine lover, but some of our friends and family are not. So if we wanted to introduce them to wine, whether it's sitting around with wine and cheese or having a meal, any suggestions on a nice way to start? Because I think, as much as I love this red, this would not be the right choice for someone who was not yet a fan. Or it's not that they're not a fan, they just haven't had any background with it.
Typically, if someone's moving into wines and they're not huge into wines yet, anything that's super fruity is usually easier for them to get into. Whites are typically before reds, just because they don't have the oak on them and stuff, and that kind of throws people off sometimes. But yeah, I would stick with something that in the semi-dry to semi-sweet and pretty fruity, and usually you can get them with something of that sort. Definitely something really well balanced, low acid, because sometimes that gets them too.
Well, I know I started out with white before I developed the taste for what I liked and what I didn't like.
Yeah, and we do our fruit wines, and we do some in the sweet level, but we do some in the middle range too. So that way, because we have like blueberry dessert, and we have all these sweet ones, but then we move into, like, we have for some rosés that are kind of mid-line sweetness, and they're light and they don't have the oak on them. We do like cranberry Riesling. That's nice if you have a dry drinker and a sweet drinker. Sometimes they can meet in the middle there. Yeah, so it's got that tartness of the cranberry, so that helps the dry drinker, and it's got the sweetness of the Riesling. So that kind of helps meet in the middle.
And would you just have that as a sit on the deck, have a glass of wine, or would you have it paired with
Like
something?
cranberry Riesling.
Thanksgiving, yeah.
We have paired it up some. It goes really great with a lot of salads, with especially salads like has salad that has strawberries on it and like that. Cheeses, cheddar cheeses, it goes really well with cheddar cheeses. Just something really light, because it is a light wine. It's got that fruitiness and then the tartness at the end. So yeah, so it would pair up really nice with just some light cheeses or just something really light.
Sounds good. I wouldn't have thought about that combination, but as you explain it, does seem to make it just makes it sound really good.
Yeah, it's one of our most popular sellers here. It's nice light rosé, it's pink, and that transition person that's transitioning for something really sweet and kind of moving towards the drier stuff, it's nice because it still gives them the fruitiness, but yet you get that cranberry tartness that it's kind of moving them in that direction. So
yeah, that makes sense. Did I just cut someone off who was going to ask the question? No? Okay. Lisa, were you asking a question?
no, I was pointing to Tony.
He's muted because he kept getting too much trouble. Since we were talking about wine pairings, do you have any recommendations that you would make with either of the choices that we were drinking tonight?
So the traminette goes really well with a little bit of spice. So if you're doing cheeses like a pepper jack or something that has a little bit of spice to it, the traminette, the little slight sweetness of the traminette along with the flowery and the tropical goes really great with that. Oriental foods, great with Oriental foods.
Like maybe Thai?
Yep, with Thai foods, yep, for sure. The Marquette goes great with, grilling, like steaks, grilled steaks, burgers, that type of thing.
Yeah. Got that spicy.
Yeah, it's got that spicy and it's got that just slight bit of smokiness, so it goes great with things like that. So that
Oh.
goes great. That cheddar cheeses, like a sharp cheddar goes great with it. Gouda goes great with it. That type of thing.
Yeah, I can see this with a nice steak grilled on the barbecue and maybe even like the baked potato with sour cream where the spiciness is really going to kind of cut through that
Cut through the
butter,
fat.
Yeah.
The fat, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. When you have a little bit higher acid, sometimes the little bit of fat content in your food, it kind of cuts through it.
I didn't look at what the alcohol content was on this.
On that one, it is right at about 13%, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah, and the Traminette's probably more along the lines of 12%.
Right. So not super high.
No. And we try, if it's a lighter body, we try to keep the alcohol content down so that way the alcohol don't overpower the flavor of the wine. So
Right. No, that makes sense. Well, we are closing in on the end of our time. I've got a ton more questions, but I want to make sure that if anyone else has any questions, they get answered. Okay, so Tony, why don't you come into the room with me and we'll get the questions answered here. There's some technical problems going on, so you can just come in here. And he probably does because we travel for wine, so he may very well have some questions.
Like I'm just gonna keep going.
No, I can read that. This I like. I can follow signs like that. Well, as we're going to wrap up, I should let you know that I will send out just shortly after we conclude here a wrap up of the event tonight with all the links. I'll have the promo code for the special promotion that Jennifer is offering. I will also have information about our event next week. So I've got to put on my glasses for this. Getting old is not for the faint of heart. So next week, we're featuring another state's wine that I'm not familiar with. So another big treat for me. We'll have Angie Malav, who is the owner of the Wine Cafe in Fayetteville, North Carolina. And she will be talking about wines and grapes from North Carolina. So I'm excited that I will get to learn something more again. Also, we have a giveaway that I will announce the winner in the email that goes out, because it'll have a random draw that I'll do when we get off. And it is a book. It is the Indiana Winery Guide. Wineries Guide, and it is available in Kindle or paperback. So you'll just let me know which your preference is, and I will send that out to you. I hope that if we're able to get to Indiana sometime soon, that we can stop by and check out the winery. It looks beautiful. Hopefully, I mean, I'd love to be there for one of those events. I mean, it looks like a great way to spend and relax with friends on a beautiful
Definitely.
Summer evening.
And if you share that email, winery@countryheritagewinery.com, if you're coming out this way, definitely email it. If I'm here, I'll show you around, give you the grand tour, and show you our barrel room and our aging room. We have a whole wine cellar. It's beautiful.
Yeah, I hope that one time soon that we can all do that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think we all are hoping that. So
We miss it so much.
oh, I know. Thank you all for coming tonight. I appreciate all your time. I appreciate your hospitality. Jennifer, say hi to everyone here at the winery. We wish everyone well. And
Thank you.
let's do a final cheers, folks. All right.
Cheers.
Cheers. And hopefully we will see you next week.
Tony's empty.